Begin with the troubled aviation sector in Nigeria. To compound the already delicate situation in the sector, Emirates Airlines has announced suspension of its flight operations in Nigeria from the 1st of September. According to the airline, the suspension became necessary following its inability to repatriate its funds from Nigeria. In a statement, Emirates Airlines stated that it has tried to repatriate funds from Nigeria without success, but will reassess the situation if something urgent is done. Bikil, for the sake of our viewers, please kindly shed more light on this.
Well, before now, they sent in a letter to Nigerian aviation authorities reducing the frequency of their flights to our country. And this was the same reason they gave, that they were struggling to repatriate their revenue, from Nigeria. So we were waiting to see if the CBN will be able to do something about that. Then they took this decision to stop flying into our country outright. The truth is, the CBN can hardly help the situation. There is a very serious forex illiquidity issue in our country. It's compounded by the fact that petrol is the major guzzler of our foreign exchange. Between 60 to 70% of the forex that we make go into importation of a product that it has pleased God to give us in abundance. It's a national disgrace that Nigeria is the only OPEC country that continues to import refined petroleum products from other countries of the world. All the countries that are major oil producers are making money during this Russia-Ukraine war. It is only Nigeria that is not making money during this period because of the subsidy regime that we have allowed to persist, that is suspected to be bleeding Nigeria, that we suspect that some people are using it to bleed our country. If the Saudi oil company, Aramco, can make $87 billion in just 6 months during this Ukraine war, and our own country, our foreign reserves have sunk to just about $15 billion. I'm not talking about revenue. There's a difference between revenue and profit. Aramco made $87 billion profit during this period.
Within 6 months.
6 months. Here we are. We are the only country not profiting from this war. Nobody wants war. I hate the war. But as an oil-producing country, this is supposed to be boom time for us. But we've been told that, no, we are not making money because the bulk of the money that we make gets used to pay for subsidy, 5-point-something trillion naira gone into subsidy payments and all that. The truth is, even the NNPC that is supposed to fetch forex, because oil is our major foreign exchange earner. But we are seeing NNPC now coming, refusing to even remit to the Federation account. So, if what the NNPC used to give to the CBN by way of crude oil sales has gone down drastically, and crude oil is our major forex earner, where will the CBN get the funds to be able to attend to the needs of these foreign companies? Because the way it is, some of them may leave our country. Some foreign direct investment that should come to our country won't come. Ghana overtook Nigeria in the area of foreign direct investment because of this kind of problems. People don't want to come here and do business. You make money, you can't repatriate your money. It was not like that before. But these are signs that we have all kinds of problems that need to be addressed. And we need this foreign direct investment. We need it.
Adekunle, how pathetic does this appear to you?
Very, very pathetic because, Emirates started by, cutting down on its operations in Nigeria. It used to be 11 to Lagos every week, 5 to Abuja every week. It was reduced to Lagos, I think to 7 instead of 11. And by September 1st, they will suspend their operations until further notice. Because when you read their letter, they are suffering, because of their inability to move funds. They deal with contractors, they deal with suppliers, they deal with a lot. And they said that they even tried to even pay in Naira, which which is not even favorable to them, but the contractors declined. So at some point, it became impossible, according to, if you read their letter. You see, the effect on this, the effect of this on businesses, on tourism, it's impossible to calculate. It's huge because people need to move around to do business, for tourism, for everything. And that's what keeps the economy going. So now, when a major player is going out, suspending its activities in Nigeria, the message it will be sending all over the world is that Nigeria is not a place for such businesses. And that's dangerous, because that's not what we are. Yeah. But we have had ineptitude from the highest offices over the years. Because, just as Jide said, you will see that because of our inability to do the right things at the right time, we are not benefiting from anything. During this time, those who are not waging any war and are blessed, like our country, with crude oil, this is an opportunity. As at last, I think July, the EU was lobbying Nigeria, that send gas to us. We need gas. You get my point? In a country where gas supply is even a crisis, a national crisis. So they say we should send gas to them. So when you look at what is happening here, we are reaping the fruits of bad governance, bad policies, ineptitude, and it's so bad.
All right, gentlemen, let's quickly take Olawale from Ikorodu. Hello, Olawale.
Hello, good evening, Jumoke.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, Omar Tata.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
good evening, sir.
I'm my brother there.
Good evening, sir.
Don't let the economic don't let us the economic activity. The management and monetary the people concerned disasters. Okay, and I didn't know why the president decided to retain the finance as well as the of central bank. Okay, then when the president was coming to power, he said subsidy was a scam and there was nothing close to it. But why did he continue with it? If the people who are so-called powerful people are not benefiting from it. Another dimension of this now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Olawale. Thank you for your contribution. All right, gentlemen. Now, at the latter part of the letter, the airline said that should there be any positive reaction from the federal government, they might reevaluate their decision. What exactly do you think the federal government needs to do in this stance? Speak here.
Frankly, if you know the extent of the problem that we're facing, it will be difficult for the CBN to address this problem, because Emirates is not the only airline, the foreign airline. Others too are facing the problem. There are all kinds of problems that airlines, foreign airlines are facing in our country. There was a time that some of them were even buying the aviation fuel outside Nigeria because it's a problem here. It's now like 903 naira per liter from just a little over 200 earlier in the year. So how can airlines plan when you can wake up one day and see more than 300% hike in the price of aviation fuel? So some of them will go to Ghana to buy aviation fuel. Some of them will go to countries near Nigeria to buy aviation fuel. They are really going through a lot. Now, there are other foreign companies facing the same problem. It just happens to be Emirates that is making all the noises about this matter. So if you do it for Emirates you are now obligated to do it for others. And I'm not sure they have that quantum of forex that they can give out to these airlines. That sector is largely forex denominated. The checks that they do, even the salaries of pilots, they get paid in dollars. So if you do not have access to it, the cost of operation, if you don't have ready access to the dollar, the cost of operation will go up. All the spares that they buy, the C checks, everything. We don't have a hangar here. It is testament to the terrible way our country has been managed that we do not have a hangar here where Nigerian airlines or foreign airlines can do their maintenance and even repairs. They can't. They will go all the way to France and other countries to do C-check. When they do the C-check, they will fly the airplane empty back to Nigeria. It's a lot of money. Whereas in the 80s, that place where you have Arik now used to be the hangar, where even Ethiopia Airline, the biggest forex earner for their country, that was where they used to do C-check. We tell people, young people, that Nigeria used to be great. This Ethiopia Airlines, that is one of the best 5 in the world, used to do the C-check here in Lagos. Emirates, that is clearly one of the best in the world. Today, if Boeing comes out with a new jet airliner, the Emirates will be one of the airlines that will buy the most units. This Emirates, Nigerian Airways, once donated planes to them. It's difficult to talk about these things and not get emotional. I mean, it's just terrible.
Adekunle, your final take before we move on.
I don't know the best way government can handle this, because even from what I heard, we have over 800 million dollar request as we speak. Maybe it's even more than that. And a country that is battling serious forest crisis, maybe something the CBN could have done, I think, for long, because they've been on this for a long time. It didn't start 2-3 months ago. It started many months ago. I don't know. Maybe promise, hold on, exercise more patience and all that, instead of escalating it to worse, crisis.
All right, gentlemen, let's move to Zamfara State. Nigeria continues to wander in the widening gyre of insecurity. The more drastic measures are adopted, the more the situation persists. In another round of measures to tame insecurity, the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, has banned movements of motorcycles from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. In the state capital. During a statewide broadcast in Guze, Governor Matawale directed security personnel to shoot on sight anyone found violating the new order in affected areas. Bikeo, how effective can this be?
It's down to the law enforcement agents to enforce the law. If the governor can motivate them to enforce the law, it will work. I moderated the Lagos State Government's town hall on Okada on Tuesday. And I told them that I never believed, for example, that Kano State could ban Okada, because Kano had far more Okada than Lagos. Far more, right from the 90s. I remember a senior colleague even describing the way they ride Okada in Kano as a laissez-faire attitude to life. That was Dapolo Yomi describing the Okada rider in Kano as someone who has a laissez-faire attitude to life, because they just keep speeding, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, seeing videos like that.
But they banned them. Many people thought it would not work. But in Kano, the only man who rides an Okada is the one who is not prepared to carry a passenger. Once you carry a passenger, you are in trouble. And traffic enforcers in Kano are far more aggressive than asthma people. Karota. The fear of Karota in Kano is the beginning of wisdom. They go around with their clubs. They are ready. I don't know how they recruited them, but their eyes are blazing. You cannot go against the law. They will deal decisively with you. So in Kano, Okada banned. After that, the governor then said, okay, tricycles, you can't operate beyond 10 p.m. And that one too is working. If you go into Kano now, after 10, you are expecting to find a tricycle to take you to your destination. You will walk and walk because you won't see them. It's all down to enforcement. Where people are sure that law enforcement will do their job of enforcing the law, you can be sure that it will succeed. In the north, they do not have a choice, because Boko Haram, their factions, and Saru and the rest of them, the bandits, everyone is using is Okada that they are using. Sometimes they even tell you, as part of your ransom, to go and bring certain number of Okadas. When they kidnapped those university students in Kaduna, they actually asked for Okada. They said, give us so dozens of Okada.
Brand new ones.
They will even tell you the particular brand that they want. That's what they use to link all those forests together. Forest, you can link a forest from Niger right up to Kebbi. You know, right through those forests. That's what they use. So now everyone has seen how it worked in Kano. You cannot, in some of the forests of Kano where the governor has put CCTV, once they sight like 3 Okadas at once, it triggers an alarm. They will take them out. If it's one person, that forest passing to, going all the way to Jos. I saw it. So now everyone has realized that these Okadas is the way by which they move around. So, and they like to operate in the night. So stop them. Anything from 6, you don't want to see an Okada. It will certainly reduce the rate of crime. Look at Lagos. Some of the results that they gave us on Tuesday showed that in the places where they banned Okada, for example, rate of accidents reduced by more than 2/3. Rate of crime also reduced. So I'm certain that if they enforce this in Zamfara very well, it certainly will reduce the rate of attacks on our people.
All right, but then Adewale, shoot on sight.
Well, that's the aspect I'm not particularly comfortable with, because when you know the nature of our security agents, always overzealous, but in these situations like this, something drastic needs to be done. Strict enforcement of the law. And if we are serious, we want to fight banditry, we want to fight insurgency, it should be all over the north, especially in all the regions, under, the ravage of, bandits and Boko Haram. But remember what the governor is doing in Zamfara is limited to Guzo. So not in the entire state. And maybe he wanted to start from there and see what happens. And But in the north, generally, especially in areas under the threat of Boko Haram, bandits, and other criminals, by now we should have followed the Kano example. You will see that Lagos just extended, I think the ban to about 10 local, I think 10. Okay. And LCDs, I think 10. Okay. So when we look at it, maybe Lagos is trying to say, let's take the gradualist approach and all that because of the backlash and okay, it's still fine because Lagos is at least largely peaceful. But in states where peace is elusive, by now, face out Okada, all these places, you don't want to see them completely. And of course, people will complain, but in this kind of situations, people need to make sacrifices because we can't continue like this. I don't want a situation whereby security agents will take liberty for lines and be shooting. No. You can enforce the law without anybody you see riding back, arrest them by all means possible. But when you say shoot at sight, our security agents, some of them, what they normally do, they just become reckless, and we need to, respect human rights and all that.
All right, Mikhail, some persons have said some of these extreme measures Governor Matawale has taken maybe because it's quite overwhelmed, and they may be justified, actually. All right, Mikhail, I do apologize. We need to go on break. We'll be right back to analyze more of these issues. Stay with us.
The federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, announces the availability of COVID-19 and childhood vaccines nationwide. With the disturbing increase in reported cases of COVID-19 infections across Nigeria, protect yourself and loved ones from the harmful virus by getting vaccinated. Visit the nearest public or private health facility and mass vaccination sites today to receive the first, second, or booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 vaccines are given to persons 18 years and above, including pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers, while childhood vaccines are given to children from birth to 5 years for protection against polio, hepatitis, yellow.hcda.gov.ng, or call 0700-220-1122.
This message is from NPHCDA in partnership with the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD.
All right, welcome back. Mikhail, please go on.
Yeah. When people say it's overwhelmed, they are partially right. But I think that when you give bandits a chance to embrace peace, when you tried the rapprochement approach, and bandits, after agreeing that they will no longer kill people, they will no longer attack people, went back. After you signed an amnesty deal with them, you are pushing the governor to the wall. I remember when Zamfara came up with the amnesty program, even the then IG, the former IG, sent the police commissioner to the event. You see, police commissioner with people that he should have arrested. Exchanging banters and all that. That's not what you want to see. You want to see him give those guys a kick in the groin. But an amnesty deal was signed. Those boys waited for some time. When they saw that the kind of money that used to roll in from kidnapping people was not coming in because they chose the path of peace, they then went back.
That's it.
Into the bush, began kidnapping people. The governor of Katsina State also gave amnesty to these guys. In fact, I interviewed the bandits after they agreed that they will no longer kill people. The same town where I interviewed them, where they said, no, we will not kill people anymore, was where they've killed soldiers 2 times. And they set ablaze all the houses in the town, chase people away. So when you are faced with this kind of situation, you want to come up with extreme measures because all the other measures that you tried failed to appease these guys, failed to get them to embrace peace. They've said, oh, they are banning mining. I said it at that time that banning mining would not stop this thing, because there are communities in Zamfara state that do not have an ounce of gold. Yet, banditry is rampant in those communities. So I said at that time that, look, it's a waste of time. Even if you ban mining, banditry will not stop. It's not to imagine that, oh, people, that banditry is rampant because people are mining gold and other things. I mean, I don't know how people will imagine when they want to steal people's cattle. Cattle is not gold now. Most of the places where banditry is rampant, cattle rustling is extremely rampant. They will first come, steal your cattle, and they will steal cattle in hundreds. I don't know how they manage to even chaperone those.
You understand the language of
yes, but it's not your own. Yet you are able to move them in hundreds.
No, they do. They understand.
You know? So there are other motivations for banditry beyond mining gold and all that. That's the mistake that our people made. Cast your mind back to when they made that, they took that decision. Has banditry stopped? In fact, it got worse after the ban. You said, oh, they should not use, let's suspend the telco services. They suspended telco services. All of those states tried it. Katsina tried it, Kaduna tried it, Zamfara tried it. It didn't work. No. In fact, they were using the telco services of were using telco services of foreign countries like Orange in Niger Republic. They will use it and communicate with victims. So a governor would naturally get pushed to the wall when you see all of the measures that you have tried not working. He already said that it's now even death penalty for kidnapping in Zamfara. Even if you are an accomplice, it's still dead. But let us see whether these measures will
work,
achieve.
at least.
Yeah.
All right, let's quickly take Julius from Ibadan. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
PKO, how are you, sir? And,
I'm fine, no.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Now, Now, I want to say kudos to the governor of Zamfara State for that step he has taken. But I want to say something very quickly. I would appreciate if our politicians will stop this empowerment with motorcycle. Now, we should look for other things to empower the people. It is on the process of giving them empowerment again that we are having high number of motorcycles in our country. So these politicians as well should stop this empowerment with motorcycle. And as well, if we want to stop them, they should be stopped seriously and honestly, so that this banditry and kidnapping will stop and we will experience peace once again in our country. PKO, Mr. Yusuf, God bless you all.
God bless you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf. Let me have your take. And again, you know, Governor Matawale spoke to emirs. He has asked them to make sure they push out all of these criminals within the community. Beyond talking, what else can these emirs also do to help the government?
Well, you said that you heard me that I said this Okada ban is in Guzo. I will expect him to do so in all the areas in the state completely, because the state has suffered enough under Boko Haram, bandits, and all that. Stop it. Then there should be no conflict with many emirs in that state. He has removed emirs, especially those he suspected have sympathy, or accomplices with, bandits and all that. Yeah, you need, traditional rulers, they know a lot that goes on in their domains. I don't know whether the communication gap is not good enough. There is no way many of these crimes can happen
without
in their domains, and they don't know about it. No, that's not true. They don't know everything, but they know a lot. So if there's a way the governor can work together with the emirs, believe me, I believe this may also help. But if you remove motorcycles from entire Zamfara state, I know Zamfara very well, I've been there many, many times. You see, some of these people, they move around, not through motorcycles. So when you don't allow it, what will happen? You will realize that you will, it's like demobilizing them, sort of. And having tried all sorts of measures, it didn't work. This one, don't do half measure, do it in the government, do it everywhere in the state. And see, of course, people will suffer, but we are already suffering.
And it's better to be
so
alive.
if we make some sacrifices, maybe we may get around this, crisis.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Now let's move to the final lap of the program. Stable and adequate power supply continue to elude us as a country, despite huge funds and efforts sunk into the sector. A promised 5,000 megawatts of electricity supply is proving elusive. The federal government has explained that it could not attain the promised target of 5,000 megawatts of electricity generation due to shortage of gas supply. Speaking after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, said power generation remains around 4,000 megawatts because of problem of gas. Meanwhile, electricity workers under the umbrella of the National Union of Electricity Employees and the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies have agreed to suspend the industrial action they embarked upon on Wednesday for 2 weeks. This followed intervention of the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, in the crisis, bordering on promotion, stigmatization, refusal of market operators to fund payment of entitlements for disengaged staff of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, as agreed in December 2019. BKO, yesterday was so terrible.
Yes, for a lot of people. And even after they called off the strike, the ripple effect remained. Many communities were still in darkness because it's so easy to shut down. But once you shut down, how do you get everything back on
normal
and working as it used to work? I'm really worried that everybody seems to think that the only language that the government understands is to go on strike. Essential services should never resort to strike at the slightest opportunity. What we have seen, their quarrel is even with the head of service. Yet you went ahead to throw the whole nation into darkness. I'm really, really ashamed of the workers who went to this extent. And in a way, you would not want to blame them, because when labor unions, when workers are complaining, government needs to look at the merits of their complaints and address those issues. Government should not always wait until somebody goes on strike. You get the point that I'm making? If I have a valid point, go ahead, talk to me, address the problem. Don't push workers to resort to strike before you find a way to engage them. Because this matter couldn't have just started yesterday and then led to a strike. The feeling that our people have is that government will never take you seriously until you go on strike. This is what we see. Whether they were head workers who went on strike, the demand had been there, was not addressed. They didn't make moves to call them before they now resorted to strike. Check. Often they will even send, because that's what the labor law says anyway, you can't suddenly go on strike. You have to let your employer know that this is the plan, so that the avenues for engagement are not blocked before people just suddenly see strike happening. So in this case, some of the staff are even contract staff. Some of them at one point had even worked for some of these companies, Gencos and the rest of them. They used to be staff Some of them used to be staff of the defunct PACN. Now, they engaged them. They started working for TCN. It's not a bad idea if people have retired, but they still have the know-how, because that is a specialized sector. They still have the know-how. You found them useful. You then engage them as contract people. Well, for contract people now to be talking about promotion, you must promote us. Because that promotion has not come, I don't think that is enough to simply go and plunge the nation into darkness. Do you know, can anyone quantify the losses that Nigeria recorded for the period that they put everyone in darkness? I believe that the decision that those guys took, given that these were people, a lot of them had even retired, were contract staff, I don't think it merited simply going on strike like that, given that it's essential services that we are talking about. The police, the army, the air traffic controllers, even the constitution listed people on essential services.
The firefighters.
Yes. I mean, these are not people, even water board, for example, water board. They are not people who should just simply go on strike at the slightest opportunity. This is why I'm really disturbed about this one. It means that tomorrow we should not be surprised if soldiers just say they are going on strike.
Adekunle, let me have your take before we move into federal government's claims.
Honestly, it's something that is, honestly, I'm very, very angry. A lot
of Nigerians were.
Oh, believe me,
so much power.
I always believe that workers have right to embark on strike. But today, when we discuss Nigeria, the mess Nigeria has become, all of us made it what it is. We always, accuse the government, abuse them, criticize them. Fine, the government is not doing enough, and we don't have the best among us in public offices. Fine. But ordinary folks, we do a lot to harm and destroy our country because you have certain grievances. Ask Jide, ask me, ask anybody, wherever you work, there is no way you won't have one grievance or the other. But we still do our work. You get my point? Mm-hmm. Believe me, part of the ineptitude that we are all suffering is that Nigeria has been turned to a country whereby we don't even punish crimes. We don't even punish failures. How can you go on strike and video yourself turning off gas turbines, power plants? Nigeria is a country, for God's sake. Oh. Believe me, the last time this happened, it was 1988 under General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. 11 of them, they were arrested, they were prosecuted and convicted, sent to jail. Of course, later on, they were pardoned, but they went to jail. Mm-hmm. And that is governance. Today, nobody is even talking. Hey, they are happy, they are back, we are discussing with them, we are negotiating with them. This is crap.
This one,
because what they have done is economic sabotage, just like what those guys did in 1988. And we haven't heard from anybody that some people will be punished. Some months back, when NNPC did the unthinkable, they said petrol entered this and that. All throughout, no heads got rolled. And I said, what manner of country is this? We don't punish failures. We don't punish, crimes. What these fellows did is, just in plain terms, they've sabotaged. It's economic treason.
Honestly,
it's economic treason, and if this government doesn't punish as usual, because it doesn't, it shows the ineptitude that is happening all over this place.
All right, let's. Federal government says the reason why has blamed shortage of gas supply. But I'm asking, why would gas be, remain an issue in the country that has the largest gas reserve in the continent?
That's talking about the fact that we can't meet the
megawatts.
5,000 megawatts threshold.
Who they set for themselves?
To even set 5,000 megawatts threshold for themselves, is
Islam.
is defeatist. Is where South Africa is generating on the average 42,000 megawatts, largely from coal. You see, God so blessed this country that we have everything. Solar, wind, hydro, coal. Coal was there now. You know, nobody talks about coal. It now looks like, oh, coal is so bad. That's what South Africa relies on. South Africa even exports power to neighboring countries. Just the way Egypt is now exporting power to countries of Europe. Egypt has more than enough. To the extent that it's even exporting power to countries of Europe. That's an African country exporting electricity that we don't have to countries of Europe. No wonder one presidential candidate said he was going there to learn how to do it. People won't understand, but that's an African country exporting electricity to Europe. Not like our own that we're exporting to our neighbors.
African country.
So if we cannot solve the problem of gas, hydro accounts for just about 17.5% of our power plants. The bulk of the power plants are gas-fired. Egbe that we have here in Lagos is the largest gas-fired power plant in West Africa. But are we managing even what we have? Are we managing them very well? Every time, a lot of the time that you hear about system collapse and all that is usually because of gas constraints. Because if you don't have an optimum level of gas supply to the power plants, it will trigger a shutdown. You have the power plants, majority of them must be working at a point. If it gets to a point that only very few of them have access to gas, only very few of them are working, then you will have a system failure. So we've not solved the problem of getting gas supply to the power plants. Sometimes these bad boys in the creeks, they simply break gas pipelines, believing that it is crude or refined petrol, refined crude that is inside. But once you break a gas pipeline, you've just wasted your time. You cannot pipe it. It's useless to you. You just pollute the atmosphere with it. So, and the gas, I heard the minister say, oh, the gas companies will not supply if you don't pay. Oh, it is because of your record. You have a record of owing people. Debt. If you owe them, how do they then survive?
Thank you. Please help me hold your thoughts while we take Gbenga from Abuja. Hello, Gbenga. Hello.
Yes, my name is Gbenga.
All right.
On the issue of Zamfara State Governor, that is a signed death sentence penalty for the bandits and kidnappers, I think it should not stop there. I'm suggesting that it should include both their logistic men, people that run errands for them. Because when you keep people in captivity for 1 month, 2 months, how do you feed them? Some of them are being taken by some doctors, by some nurses. So if they only sanction or penalize those kidnappers without all those people running errands for them, bandits and kidnapping will not end. But when they're able to cut those people off from them and nobody to run errands for them or carry some energy for them, the bandits will be forced to come out because they can't keep their cards without feeding them.
Thank you, Gbenga.
So we should involve them in the penalty.
All right, Adekunle, while the government continues to blame gas shortage, experts have said decayed infrastructure and investments, debt, like BKO said, and poor management as other factors. How huge of a factor is operational inefficiency?
You see, tell me what government, I'm talking about the Nigerian government, has handled very well. Even, just forget what you read in the papers. Look at what the quoted portion, what came out from the minister. So you just explained your inefficiency. You are saying because they will not supply, they could then sometimes pay me. Then what's government all about? Are you saying the federal government of Nigeria is unable to pay them? Why? Then you are not saying sometimes you plan, it's not. See, would you run your private enterprise like that? No, you need what you know what you need. Because you said it involves a lot of players. That's what, management is all about. So you need to factor in a lot of, things. Oh, this. And when you set in the right environment, then when there is poor management, poor leadership, inefficiency, ineptitude, that's what happens. How can you say, because we had a firm agreement with, and you said, okay, you are working around it without giving specifics. Because when you say you want, so what we are saying is, grid collapse, we continue to have it until we're setting the right environment, the right management, because this thing is not rocket science. South Africa, less than 60 million people, they generate at 53,000 megawatts. And that's a country about 57, 58 million people. We are here, over 200 million people, Nigerians, and we are shamefully discussing five.
Could it be as a result of the population?
It's not because of this, because of we are.
We exceeded this threshold before. During the Fashola years, his record was 5,313 megawatts. The former minister even got to 5,800 plus. I was there at the Ministry of Power on the day that we set another record in excess of 5,800. Now, if you are going down and we are saying we want to get to 5,000, we had 5,000 plus before. But unfortunately, if you hit 5,313, the next day, it could be less than even 4,000.
All right.
So we are not consistent. We've exceeded 5,000 in the past, but we are unable to stay there or even go up. We are going down.
And when we are talking about generation, believe me, it's different from distribution.
All right.
That's another thing entirely. There are times you hit 5,000. Are you able to distribute 5,000?
All right, let's quickly take Charles from Lagos. Charles, we apologize for keeping you waiting. Hello?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Jide, Oga Yusuf, and the lady there.
Good evening,
sir.
For me, the problem with the power sector has to do with leadership. The problem is leadership. Then, and there's also need for us to practice, full federalism. Why are we concentrating power maybe only from Kainji Dam or from other places? Let states empowered and bringing the private to make their own power. Yes, it's a money-making venture. Lagos tried sometime in the past with error, and the federal government made them up. Until we centralize this thing, this will never work.
All right. Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you very much, Charles. Now, gentlemen, according to
what he said was what we said earlier, that there are other energy sources. What are we doing to maximize
from this?
Those sources? If we go to Bauchi, for example, the kind of sun in the Jamari area, the kind of sun that will beat you. You are moving from Jigawa going into Bauchi, the Azari area, the kind of sun that will beat you. If they have it in India, they will be happy. In India, a whole airport is powered by solar. So we have other alternative sources that we are simply not doing enough. That is the thing. Why should we be talking about 5,000 megawatts? What is 5,000? When our own countries are not as big as us, are doing way higher. We should set for ourselves a target that is, even at installed capacity, our installed capacity is above 10,000 megawatts. So why are we unable to even get close to the installed capacity?
All right, gentlemen, as I would like to know, has privatization served us better? Because for roughly 9 years, we seem to have deeper problems.
We need to invest more. The investment is not enough. Even the World Bank has told us that for 10 straight years, we have to keep investing. Now, we see, and the investment will cut across different energy sources. We have Mambila wasting away. Mambila will give us, even in the peak of the dry season, Mambila will give us in excess of 3,000 megawatts. Mambila alone. The size, the area where you have the dam and all that, is 6 times bigger than Lagos State. I've been there. And we're just wasting away. You can imagine if hydro from Mambila alone will give us about 3,500 megawatts. We are struggling to do 4,000 through largely from gas. So why haven't we, after about 30 years, we have not allowed that project to see the light of day? So we are not ready to solve our problems. When we are ready, Nigeria will get better.
Adequately.
Honestly, we need people who have ambitions, not these defeatists, people with defeatist minds. We're discussing 5,000, we should be discussing big ideas, big targets, big. I'm sorry, it's really ashamed.
Your angers are valid, actually. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Vikio, for coming on the program. Thank you, Mr. Adekunle. Serious situations. All right, that's all on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Are your kitchen drawers starting to look like a bad garage sale? Steamers, rice cookers, roasters, slow cookers. And just how many pots and pans does one kitchen really need? And every time you cook, cleanup's a disaster. Scraping, scrubbing, what a chore. What if you could replace all this with one single non-stick pan?